The way it's in, I can't speak for all of Australia, but in terms of the way it's been implemented in Victoria, is unique. Victoria, and it's probably Australia as a whole, gets really high IB results, which on paper looks fantastic, but then when you break down why that is, you look at the schools that have the IB, and they're generally your elite private schools, select entry, or where parents are paying a substantial amount of money to send their children there. So it's hard to gauge what it is that's causing those results. I think the positives of having the IB in a school is that it's not just the curriculum that comes with the program, it's everything else. So with it is that students then bring into the school all these fantastic service activities, creativity activities, action as well, so they have to get involved in extracurricular and all that sort of thing. So that brings with it a lot of benefits to a school. And I think it also creates this idea that learning is really important. The other big part of the IB is the aims, and part of their mission statement is to create a better, more peaceful world. And also part of their learner profile is that students should be internationally minded and open-minded and balanced and reflective and so on. And so students who are undertaking the IB are meant to be internationally minded students. And so I think in terms of, if it was my school, I'd really like that ideology amongst my students, that they're looking outward, that they're looking to create a better world. And I think that's something that the VCE doesn't have. It doesn't have an ideology. It doesn't have an overarching theme of why we're here. It's this idea of let's get into university. We have this completely different situation where borders have broken down and families move quite easily between different countries. So the IB has been criticised for being directly linked to globalisation in terms of the IB as globalising education, or at least where it's now being set up, or it always has been, but where it's set up in national systems, like in Australia, for example. Some people criticise it for usurping the national curriculum. So when it goes into a school in Australia, it's taking away from the Australian curriculum that's already there. And so some people, I think, find that threatening, probably state governments. What's wrong with our curriculum? What's wrong with the VCE? Why do we need this other system? Is this good enough? And I think in other places, in developing nations, it's probably seen as more of a criticism. Not so much in Australia, but in nations perhaps in Asia or Africa, where it's not too much, or in the Middle East, it's seen as, well, let's go in with these westernised values and create and impose our curriculum, our westernised curriculum, into them. So I think some people see that as a criticism that the IB does try to address, and the IB acknowledges that yes, it has come from a Western liberal perspective, but we're trying to implement new things or new processes to try and ensure that we don't just go into countries and say, this is what, a new form of colonialism, I guess. Let's take our education into these countries now.